it is 7 o'clock. We're going to call the meeting to order. The first thing is our flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first is our roll call.
Ms. Fuller.
Here.
Mr. Chandler.
Here.
Ms. Capitello.
Here.
Mr.
Here.
Mr. Oliverio.
Here.
Ms. McCallum.
Here.
Mr. Rodilla.
Here.
Mayor Perry. Here. Solicitor Fogle.
Here.
Engineer Keenan.
Here.
And myself, we have a forum.
Great, thank you. Please let me know if you can't hear me. The mic's been going out, so just let me know. I'll turn up.
That's
Hello, hello. Is that good? Okay. So please let us know if you can't hear anyone. Before we get into the agenda, I just wanted to mention something. I want to thank everybody for coming. And I just want to say that last meeting was great. We had a lot of feedback as part of that meeting. And I just want us to all remember that we are all residents, and all the people in this room, including on council, the staff that's here or not here, are all committed to Crafton. That's why we're all here. And we definitely want to hear from you. That's super, super important. And part of it is that we're all here for one purpose: to do the best thing for Crafton. We have volunteers, paid staff, and residents, and sometimes a mix of both are represented. So I think that's really important. I think another thing I'd like to mention is we've gotten so much good feedback, and we do appreciate that. We just need to be nice. Like, there should be no personal attacks on people. We need to make sure that we're being professional and nice. And I think that's something that is important just as a human being, but also as part of running our borough, because that's what's important for our borough, is that we're all working together. There's a lot of decisions that we're going to make that are decisions. Some people are going to like them, some people aren't. That's just how decisions are made. Unfortunately, everybody can't be happy with the result. But the goal is to look at things from the community perspective as a whole. And that's the decisions the council members have to make, and not just what we want or what we're looking for. So, very quick speech there, but we look forward to any feedback today. So the first item is consent agenda, is the approval of the council meeting minutes from August 22nd, and also the bill list from September 12th. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the September 12th, 2024 consent agenda, pending bill list approval by the borough president, manager, and treasurer.
So moved.
Ms. Bovenbacher?
Second.
Mr. Hope? Any discussion or question? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Consent agenda does pass. Okay, public comments. I'm gonna have to put on my glasses for the first time, now that I need them. At this time, citizens may address the Crafton Borough Council on any issue appearing on today's agenda. Only residents and taxpayers of the Borough of Crafton will be permitted to address the council. Comments on non-agenda items will be taken at the end of tonight's meeting. Speakers will be permitted to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes. Groups of people will be required to designate a spokesperson to represent them before the council, who may speak for a maximum of 5 minutes. Council has the option to respond or not at the end of the address. The solicitor is the assigned timekeeper, and please state your name and physical address for the record. Any comments, so this is an aside, on the waste trash collection RFP will be taken during that time on the agenda. Time limits and requirements will still apply at that time. So if you have anything on the waste collection, we'll have an open forum for that. We will be making a decision tonight on the waste collection, so that's going to be an important discussion. All right, we have let's two. And for the folks online, we'll ask you to raise your hand. Can't see the sheet either. Okay. Cody Sheets.
Cody Sheets, 152 Promenade. I guess I just have a couple of clarifying questions on actually the manager's report. So the zoning update that's on here, when we talk about, all the office hours being, available for residents, that's the private, like 20-minute Q&A, correct? Okay. And then a planning commission meeting Tuesday, September 24th to discuss zoning plan revisions. Now, my question is, if the planning commission sees fit, can they pass this draft to council that evening?
So.
Yes or no?
Let me,
Sure.
why don't you go through all of your stuff? And then
Okay,
we'll
sure,
answer
sure.
them that way. That
Sure.
way it's not.
Sure, yeah, no
Okay.
problem. And if it's not, like, that's great, but if it is possible, then why are we having a public Q&A after that meeting if it could be potentially passed, I guess is my question.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure I'm through everything here. Yeah, right, so, yeah, is that potentially gonna happen? And if so, why wouldn't we do one, like a public Q&A before that meeting? Okay,
Okay.
thanks.
Okay. So does anybody want to respond? I can do it, but I think, yeah. Or you, no? Okay. Go ahead. Oh, people, I can do it, sure. So during the planning, and I can't speak for the planning commission, but for the planning commission, that is going to be discussion around the zoning. The talk is going to be again, citizens can come in. There should be no approval. They can choose to approve anything they want, but there should be no approval. Our goal here is, having heard all of the feedback, opening it up back to more public comment. We want to hear more public feedback. The open house that'll be happening that day is going to be lots of tables, lots of people talking, giving feedback, looking at specific houses of people, if you want to talk about that, and finding the overall direction. And even the goal post that is going to be more open forums. If that night doesn't work, we'll have, because some people may not be able to come, we'll schedule more. So the goal for this is really, there is not a time crunch that we must have something done. This has been going on since 2018, 19. So there's not a push, and we certainly don't want to push anything through that our residents don't feel comfortable with. And so having the planning committee and the process again, because I don't think we were clear at our last meeting, is the planning commission, after their review, then it goes to Allegheny County for 45 days for review. After they look at it, it comes back to council for review and or approval or not. So that's the final say. So there's a lot of more steps that go into the whole zoning itself. So this is not, last meeting was more just to get initial public comment on the draft.
Thank you.
So, okay. Thank you. All right, next we have Mr. Wozniak.
I'm Greg Wozniak, 1773 Bar Avenue. Cody kind of asked a lot of stuff that I was thinking about. I saw those one-on-ones. Are those one-on-ones going to be recorded for the public to see the question and answer periods of the one-on-ones?
But just go ahead and ask all, and then we'll go through those for you.
And that was pretty much top of my list there. And also, I did have a question on the budget. Is that okay to ask that one or no?
Go.
I was just gonna ask if it, great that though taxes are being raised over the years and looking forward, and if maybe at some point it could be a little bit of an explanation on how that's actually happening. When everything is all prices are going up, and how we actually do that. So, all right, thanks.
Okay, thanks, Greg. I can address the budget, and then do you want to do the one-on-ones? The budget, the reason it's that way is because of Jim managing that budget to a T. Our mayor is also on the finance committee. My Vince Radilla and myself are also on that committee. And every invoice, anything that comes through is reviewed and questioned and made sure that it is correct. And being fiscally responsible is critically important for us so that we don't have to raise taxes. So anything that comes through, has to have a PO, it has to be approved, and it has to go through there. And because of that fiscal management, that's why we're there. Also, grant money is important. So all the things that happen really based on all the grant money that we've been able to attain. So what happens with the grant money is that money is available, and there's a lot of grant money out there. And you apply for those grants, and if you're awarded them, and it's a long application process, there's lots of federal, state regulations associated with those grants. And once that happens and it gets approved, that grant money comes in and it enables us to do like Broadhead, the big Broadhead sewer project, the C20 sewer project, things like the Public Works building, the Bath Pool House. We had some grant money for those, the stairs that we're changing. If we had to use full taxpayer money to pay for all that, it wouldn't get done. So that's how the importance of grants play into all that. And I encourage you to look at the come for the budget workshop if you weren't here, to see the amount of grant money and the bond decisions that were made many years ago for the $9 million bond, which is also supplemented those grants.
And I can add to that too. If we can, when I do the manager report, Greg, we're gonna talk about a lot of the efficiencies that we've already done. Because there's several, so I can talk about that, how we're gaining efficiencies by professionalizing the operations. So absolutely.
Okay. And then the one-on-ones, did you want to?
Oh, yeah, the one-on-ones, that's probably up to the resident. If the resident is willing to be recorded, we'll absolutely record it. But if the resident doesn't want to be recorded, the reason we did this is not everybody wants to come to a forum like this and where it's, contentious and has been contentious in the past. Some people just want to be able to ask the question and get the detail and move on. So we opened it up for them to be able to ask the question and move on. If they make any suggestions, we will have them do it anyway. So that, and that'll, so if they're gonna make a suggestion for what they want or whatever, we'll have them put it in writing so that everybody can see that this isn't a suggestion that we recommended. This is a suggestion that is coming from, a resident. So.
All right. So for anybody online, if you'd like to raise your hand. And to raise their hand, they have to do what?
Click the hand at the bottom of the screen.
Okay, okay, click the hand on the bottom of the screen.
I guess just, it doesn't look like anybody.
It'll
Okay.
show up at the top.
It'll
just
come-
Justin.
It'll
Yeah.
rise to the top.
Yeah.
Are you raising your hand, Justin? Virtually?
Right?
Yeah.
It's working this week.
Yeah, without you.
Justin
Without
Marks,
you.
31 Oregon Avenue. No, I just wanted to make a quick note. I know I had showed up for the last meeting where we were discussing the garbage. And I know you asked for my vote, and initially it was one.
We're gonna do garbage.
We're gonna do that later.
Yeah, yeah.
I need my time.
Yes. Yeah.
Hi, Hugh Morgan, 31 Afton. I just moved here from the West Coast. I've decided to retire.
Wow.
I came from the golf course community in Las Vegas. Fell in love with this. Absolutely fell in love with it. So I'm not 100% sure of what's going on, but I've only heard from all my wonderful neighbors. I've been here for 3 months. And what I understand, there's gonna be a lot more Section 8 housing, some things in that nature, and I don't know if this is hearsay or not. Okay, so I'm just making a public statement at this point. I'm so happy to be here, seriously, unbelievable people. But what you don't want to do in any small community, as I came from the West Coast, is to dilapidate it by being a welfare district. And that's one thing. So I don't know what is happening. I just heard rumor, but that is one thing, a good community doesn't grow because you're giving to others in that type of way. I moved out of West Coast to get away from that. They come to an old fashioned community of hardworking individuals who want to see a community grow, not for public funding or services or grants. I understand it's important. I'm a money guy. Okay, I really truly am. But for people that want to elevate the community, to bring our home values up, not to sink them down because of doing certain things. And that's all I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna come to public forums, I promise, be a vital part of this community, and thank you very much.
Yeah. I think that's, yeah.
There is zero
No.
plans to bring affordable housing, any projects to Crafton. It is all conjecture. There is no truth to any of that. The only thing that we're talking about, we're looking at updating zoning codes. And zoning codes are incremental changes. They only affect if someone else chooses to build. So there's no project money by the borough. This is just changing regulation. And what is able to be built. And even that is not, there's no, nothing in there about affordable housing. I mean, we do, and one of the great things about Crafton is such a great place because it does have such a variety of housing already. And so many great assets. And we're just trying to build. That's all, exactly what you want. Better values, lower taxes, more businesses. That's what we want.
Yeah. Oh, sure. No, that's okay.
Well, I wasn't really sure if I was gonna say something or not, but,
That's okay.
Charter Fox, 17 South Woodland. So a couple of things with, market rate or fixed or subsidized housing is something that, will help. That's not just, people who are on limited income, it's also seniors. So that's something that I think a lot of people don't realize, that is senior housing as well. So this is not just, and I want to be fair to everybody here that you guys have done a lot of work. What I do want to point out and remind everybody is that Crafton is currently at 40% rental. You don't need additional rentals. That's going to tip the scales in a really bad way. I am not opposed to rentals at all. I was a renter, but when I came here, that's how I fell in love with this community. I liken this to my flower gardens. I have a lot of flower gardens. I'm a weirdo. I have a lot of space where I could add more gardens, but I choose not to. If I were to put 40% of my yard into a flower bed, I wouldn't be able to manage it, and it would turn to a hot mess. The same is true with us. We have a lot of property that needs, with 40% rate, there's a lot of properties that need to be looked over or looked after. We have negligent landlords. We have a lot of great landlords.
Right.
But we have one code officer who's responsible for all of this and more. It's a lot on her. The borough as a whole needs to step up on that before we add more. This gentleman was so wonderful the last meeting where he said, look, I'm a renter and I love being a renter, and that's great. My garden has annuals that are for one season only. And I have a lot of perennials that are for generations. And that's what I think about Crafton. We're a beautiful garden. But if we plant just annuals, we're not gonna have much for the long haul. The other thing that, sorry, I'm scrambling, so I didn't want to say that much. The need for housing in the United States is huge. It's a national, we all know this. And there are a lot of communities within Allegheny County who are stepping up to that because they have the space to either redevelop, renovate, or completely tear down and rebuild. Crafton's not one of those neighborhoods. We have little spaces here and there throughout the community where construction could happen. But like my garden, I don't need extra work. Let's try not to tip that balance further than that 40%. It's too much. We have the whole parking issue that's been talked about ad nauseum, so I'm not going to belittle that. There's a flurry of excitement, about the idea of having a business district that would be thriving, make this community walkable. The hard part for Crafton is we're not laid out like Carnegie with, Main Street in Washington. We're not Dormont with Route 19. We don't have that infrastructure and that layout. We have houses and apartments scattered through all of the retail opportunities. We need to find a way to spotlight what we do have and then maybe build upon where we can. It's probably a taboo subject. Okay, I won't go there. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. I love the metaphors too. So you're not a weird person because I have the same issue at my house. So very good. Thank you. All right. Next is the president's report. So this is for November 28th is our council meeting. It is on Thanksgiving Day and council was not in favor of having a meeting on Thanksgiving Day. So the suggestion is to move the meeting to November 26th, which is the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. And this would require moving the meeting and the budget workshop to Tuesday, November 26th, and advertising the change. So looking for a motion to make that move. As the state. Mr. Badillo?
Second.
Okay, Ms. Comptello, any discussion or questions? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Mayor's report. That's all I have.
I need to start with the apology about the council and the community. Can you turn it up a little? I don't think I can turn it. But I don't have.
What
it.
number is she?
There you go.
All right. Is this better?
Here's
Is
one.
this better?
Can you guys hear better now? Hold on. Is that better? Is that better?
I think, are we good?
What number is your mic?
Number 4.
Oh, mine's actually,
I don't know, is it actually
Okay.
number 4 that's?
no, it should be 5. Is that better now?
Okay, can I be heard?
Mhm.
All right. So anyway, I want to start with the apology that I owe council and the community. I am extremely sorry for my swearing outburst at the Zoom meeting during the last council meeting. And I regret terribly the disruption and the offense that it caused. And I hope that this community will be gracious enough to accept that apology and move on. Thank you. My next item is for the update to the police search. I wanted to let everyone know that the Pennsylvania Chiefs of Police Association is going to be conducting their preliminary interviews next Tuesday and Wednesday. And the interviews include 5 of Crafton state police officers who have all applied for the job. So the interview panel is going to consist of 3 highly experienced former police chiefs, including Scott Bond, who is the executive director of the association. And as we've talked about this over the months, beginning last year, actually, the Chiefs Association has a really rigorous program that helps communities to recruit, evaluate, interview, and recommend applicants for council's final selection. And I need to underscore, this is council's final selection when this is all said and done. So after these initial preliminary interviews are done, the panel will obviously need to review, tally their reports and that sort of thing. And then they will be sending their top recommendations to council for the ability for the search committee, myself, and also a representative of the Chiefs Association to conduct the next round of interviews. So I just wanted to get everything laid out clear for everybody to understand what's happening and to be fully aware that we have many police officers, large majority of our police officers that would all like that job, which has a lot to do with why we have an outside recognition organization company. So I'll keep you posted on the progress. That's it for me. And for my knowledge.
And for the public that may not know, our Chief Sumner is retiring after how many years?
Well, he's been on the force for over 40 years. He started really young, and I think that he has been, gosh, I should have that up, it's with my, but I think it's been about 15 years.
50 years.
15.
15 is the
40,
police chief,
40.
40 total. And he will be retiring at the end of this year, and it's going to be a loss for us, but the good news is we're conducting the search to find his replacement as is critically important. Okay, solicitors report.
Thank you, Mr. President. One item for me tonight, just announcing that council held an executive session on September 4th to discuss collective bargaining, personnel, and other legal matters requiring the advice of the solicitor. And that's the end of my report.
Great. Okay, engineers report, Mr. Keenan.
Good evening. The first item is the Broadhead Sewer Project. Again, this is a large upcoming sewer separation project in the borough that is likely to start taking place near the end of the year and into next. The latest update on that is that we are currently waiting for federal EPA approval on the grant to move forward. Before we need to meet certain federal requirements with the application before we could do that. So since that has been done, and now we're just seeking approval. And once that's done, we are looking to put this out to bid as soon as possible. Next is the stairs project. 3 sets of stairs, Crafton the Walnut, Crafton the Clearview, and Promenade the Fountain have all been demoed, poured, and site restoration has been done. The last thing that needs done to make them open is to install the handrails. These being custom manufactured products, they will take several weeks to get done. Latest update that I actually received today is that the Promenade Fountain handrails will be ready to install in 1 to 2 weeks. And for Crafton the Walnut, the shop drawings for the handrails should be ready in 1 to 2 weeks. Next, the 2024 road paving program. The contractor gave us a little false notice saying that this would be the week that the paving was going to take place. But gave a last minute cancellation, pushback last Friday. That means that the paving was to be pushed back to next week. Since then, the guide rail has been removed and demoed on Promenade. And I was given notice today that the milling will take place on Monday. The guide rail will be installed on Monday, if not on Tuesday, before the paving will begin. And when I asked about his notifications to the residents, he verified that he will post no parking signs and have a letter sent out to the residents as notice. As a reminder, the streets that will be affected: Orchard Street from South Linwood to South Grandview intersections, South Grandview Avenue from Ewing Road to Woodlawn intersection, Locust Street, all of Locust, Manor Street, all of Manor between Kingston and Hawthorne, McMunn Avenue, 97 McMunn, 199 McMunn, Promenade Street from Chartiers to High Street intersection, Middle Street, all of Middle Street, South Linwood Avenue, from Promenade to the Woodlawn intersection. And with that, we'll move on to the next item. The PA American Water Company water main replacement. This was a water main replacement project that occurred over the course of the summer, affecting 4 different streets. The last street that is having most activity on is Union Street, which is a brick road. I haven't been given the latest update with regards to the service line work that has been completed or not, but it was scheduled almost a month ago. So it is anticipated that is either very far along or completed at this time. I did speak with the brick paving contractor, and he did say that restoration for this road is likely to not take place until October, November, based on his schedule. And it should last about 4.5 to 5 weeks. And he verified with me that it takes them about 300 feet a week of ditch line restoration to take place. He also is doing some of the brick paving restoration up on Clearview. There was a water main break there in the past. He said that work should start taking place in about 1.5 months. So I'll move on to the trail feasibility study. Again, this is an ongoing active project in the borough, partially funded by ECNR grant. It brought to the borough's attention that we needed to put together a study committee before we could put out the RFP to select a consultant for the trail study. Right now, the draft is almost complete. That will be put out as a post to the public as a recruitment to bring on members to form this committee. So please be on the lookout for that if you are interested in being a part of the trail feasibility study. Next, the Public Works Building. This has been an ongoing project in the borough for some time now, a couple of years. We ground broke in 2020. Since then, essentially just a shell has been erected with a partial concrete slab. Again, it is the move to get this building complete and operational for our public works department. I've since had a meeting with our engineering consultants and discussed what could be the next steps. Essentially, 2 things can be done. One is what work can be done now and put out the bid. 2, what else needs to be completed in order to get the building complete. Right now, it was established that the sanitary sewer lateral could be worked on and completed before the prime contractor finishes the main building. Right now, I have an estimate for the sanitary sewer lateral work, and it is totaled at almost $104,000. The other section is the remainder of the building, getting the MEP, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, all finalized, as well as the site utilities. With that said, looking to get the sanitary sewer work started and completed. And I'd like to go to a motion to approve going out to bid for the sanitary sewer portion of the Public Works Building project, estimated at $104,000.
So moved.
Ms. Costello,
Second.
Mr. Chandler.
Mhm.
Okay. Discussion or questions?
This is budgeted, sorry. This is budgeted, right?
Yes.
That's a great there. I just wanna.
Yeah.
clear that up.
Any grant money for that or?
This will be covered by the first portion of a grant. We have a 200 or 180, $200,000 grant for this.
And what's the estimate for the next, the electric and the?
Not for the electric, but for the remainder of the building, 1.3 million. And that's in the bond sheet and been budgeted, so.
And as we learned, this project has been going on for many years. When did it start, Ms. Perry?
2020.
And discussion before that, the placement, and original discussion was considerably less than this. Some of our park master site plan, dreams, but the location where it is, that I know has caused some additional issues, but yes, it's a project that has gotten a number of different false starts, and it just seems every time we try to attack it again, it just gets more and more expensive.
What was the original, for the original specific cost, you know?
$1 million.
And how far are we in it now? What's the?
The total for a building of this size is typically about 2.2 million or 2.5 million. And that was told, we were told that Gateway mentioned that at one point, but I don't know. You know, it was prior to everybody.
It is, it's prior to anybody that's on this council, anybody that's in this room. And so, originally there was talk about an extension to the existing building. Then it started out, then it was, no, we're gonna put a new building in that was smaller than the one that we ended up with. And then there were a couple of times where, okay, the building got bigger, and I can't tell you for sure. That, past council, we have to really, dig in about, how and when that happened. And then, as it got bigger, they just didn't think about things like, oh, the garage doors got bigger, which means they're gonna be more expensive. So the ones that we bought, that we said originally, we could move from the old building to the new building, now don't fit. And it's like, at every turn, it's been. But, I think at the end of the day, what you're saying is correct, because when Doug Sample was first here, he had just come from the canvas, and I think that, Steve might be able to speak to this, but there was over $2 million in their public works building.
Of a similar size.
Yeah, similar size. So, I think it maybe got started on a wing and a prayer without being as realistic. And then over time, when it got to be too much of a hot potato, it went on the back burner for a while. And then, it's sitting there, we've got to do something with it. And that's where we are today. That's the history lesson I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we inherit, of course, things, and this is one, and we still have to take ownership of it as a council, and.
And can I just interrupt one other thing? Many of you have probably not seen the public works building that we have. It is totally out of date. It is absolutely embarrassing. So even though we're saying, okay, this is gonna cost us for a lot of money, in order to protect our assets And to operate an efficient role, we need this building. So I know we make jokes about it, about it being, like how upset I get at the costs. But I also have to say, we absolutely need this building, and just while we have the resources and we have the council, we now have the administration, and we have the structure where we really know what things are in cost and we know how to do them without going out and having to raise taxes. We need to do this.
Yeah. And again, the current building's extremely old and equipment has gotten bigger. It's changed, that the building needs replaced. And I think more due diligence should have happened. We can't change that right now. I'd like to make sure that we're working closely with Public Works on the design, the future, what's needed. If Public Works folks are able to help with that, they need to have a say in it, because I think this is, we can't keep on spending more and more money on it. We need to get it fixed properly, and then so that the guys and the equipment have the right coverage for all of their vehicles, and they're in a good place to work. So as we think through these things, I think, I'll charge folks to look at this and work closely with Public Works to get this resolved. And hopefully the understanding of the public with the little history lesson of where we've been with this building, and as we move forward. Okay, any more discussion? Okay, so we have a motion for, this is the sanitary sewer portion of the Public Works building, to start moving it through those phases. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
So motion passes 6-1.
The last item is the C20 sewer project. Again, this is another large upcoming sewer project in the borough. The large proposed separation projects, Duncan and Linden and Steuben, are still currently on standby, waiting for grant awards to be given. I was told that Alva Sand is having their board meeting at the end of this month, where the grant awards should be announced and be handed out to the municipalities. So we'll be on the lookout for that. Once those are awarded, we can proceed with finishing up the projects and getting the bid documents prepared so we can put them up there.
Right. A little history for folks that maybe haven't attended before. On the C20, there were 3 main sewer projects that are required by Elkasan. One was Crafton Boulevard across from the Crafton Elementary School. That was number 1. Number 2 is Broadhead, which is at the bottom of Broadhead. That whole sewer, which also affects Warren Park, all of those streets, and fixing those streets. This is the third and final projects that is required by Elkasan for us, and this is C20. And this is the one that we're in the preliminary stages of getting approval for grant money through Elkasan to pay for those changes. And then the second phase of it is more of beautification and green space projects relative to that, similar to like we were talking about on Broadhead and the phases you've seen on Crafton Boulevard, like the parks and the parking lot and the road repairs. Okay. All right.
That's all I have for tonight. It's
Thank you, Mr. Newman. Okay. Next is manager's report.
One thing I was gonna add to that is, we're saying C20. C20 is the area, is Steuben. We're broke, these numbers you're hearing, C20, you'll hear C25, C22. These are the outfalls into the creek. Into Chartiers Creek. We have 6 major outfalls.
At Caliente.
Into the creek. So we are on a combined sewer system. So that means that our sanitary and wastewater go in the same sewer line. When it rains, sometimes it creates too much sewer. It's too much stormwater to be captured by Elkasan. So Elkasan then flips a switch, or actually it's not even flipping a switch. It just automatically happens. Once the water backs up, it automatically goes into the creek. And so the C20 line is the line that feeds the whole shopping center. So basically from Steuben over to Ingram is the C20 line. And we are there's two projects going on as part of that C20 project. One is a sewer separation project where we're splitting the lines apart. So there's gonna be a sanitary sewer line and a storm sewer line, so they no longer will have that problem. The other one are green infrastructure. The idea behind that is when you put in green infrastructure, it slows down that flow enough so that Alcosan can catch up by the time the water gets there. These are massive projects. It is going to be a pretty significant disruption next year into this fall because it's both Broadhead and Steuben that are going to be under major construction for quite some time. So I just want to let everybody know, and we're going to be putting notices out on Facebook and working with everybody. So, and we'll have open houses where we talk about the construction and work out how we manage trash collection and everything else, because those are all the kind of issues that will come up. So we're going to do our best to keep everybody informed, but I just want to make sure everybody knows next year is going to be a very construction heavy year in the borough. Do you want to start that slide? Yeah, click the next one, yeah. Okay, so I just wanted to, there's been a lot of questions about who we hired and what we're doing and what's going on. So I just wanted to update you because we've only been talking about zoning, but there's a lot of other things going on. And a lot of them affect a lot of the other questions that people have about zoning. So I want to bring them up. First, we're really working on, when I got into this office, almost nothing was done online or through the computer, meaning that if you want to get a permit or if you want to do anything, you have to come into the office and do those things. And so first thing we did, we created a pool pass. We updated a pool pass system. So now you can have your pool pass on your phone. You can, and the system isn't perfect. We're still working through that, but you're able to buy it online and you're able to access the pass through your phone, and it automatically shows when you're coming in. And we sold more passes last year than we ever have. We were at $55,000, $56,000 worth of passes. We created an automatic invoicing system, or we switched to an automatic invoicing system, saving Carissima probably 20% of her time so she can work on other things. We created an automatic payroll system. So now all people log in themselves, or they create their schedules themselves, or they log in themselves. And we updated all the financial information. If you were here for the budget workshop, you saw that we're now projecting out 5 years. I don't know that this borough has ever done that. Ever done that? Yep. We have the capital plan built into the budget so that you can see where things are going. That was updated. Nearing completion right now is an online permitting system. So all of the forms and permits that you've had to print out and come into the office to do in the past will now be online. You can still come into the office and talk to Chris and Catherine. They like visitors. So more than welcome to do that. And then forms and payments will be online as well. We are switching next month to a .gov website address. Right now we're at a .com. That puts us at risk. We are going to be much more secure if we're on a .gov site. It's much more limited. We had to go through a whole process to even get that designation. We're working on creating a 5-year paving plan. We've just been going year to year. The advantage to doing a 5-year paving plan is when you do it, you put out calls to all the utilities and you say, are you doing any work in the next 5 years? Let's go in together, as opposed to what's been happening, whereas you pave, stare it, next month, utilities come along and they tear it up. So we're trying to work on that. There's also I work with a local group, Connect, where I'm a member of the board, as is Kirsten, that does intergovernmental cooperation work around here. And they have worked with all the utilities to create Coordinated PA, which is now a statewide program where we can put all these projects on a map, again, working to save the borough money and to prevent you from having to deal with your street being torn up. Other process improvements that have been happening. I told you about 5-year projections. I talked about the capital improvement. We hired an engineer, and just in this budget alone, normally a borough of this side would not hire an engineer. But we have $25 million worth of projects. We have $10 million worth of projects happening next year. Having that person on staff saves us all those little extra money. Just this, we're already budgeting $50,000 less because of having the engineer on staff. So, and that'll only continue to go up as we keep that working over the next few years. We also eliminated on our vacancies, and that was more to council, but we've all our boards are filled. Rec board, planning commission, zoning hearing board, and we have some rec board positions coming up here soon. So if you want to get involved in activities, by all means. We purchased Baker's Acres, which is that trail next to the busway. And we're just getting the last little piece of that property, so we'll be able to add that into the trail feasibility study and maybe improve that. And the goal would be, as we're making these efficiency gains, to be able to spend more money on that kind of stuff, to be able to spend more money on improving trails and improving other assets that we have. If you want to switch to the next slide, digital sign newsletter's been changed too, also saving us money. Now we have advertisers in our newsletter, so we get to promote local businesses, and it saves us money. On that newsletter was costing us like $15,000 a year to produce. Now I think it's going to cost us $4,000 because we do have to pay for the mail. As we all mentioned, we hired Mike Tedesco. He is traditional as an urban planner. He knows this stuff. He knows what drives businesses to come into a region. And what I was hired on Mike, you weren't there, and Pam, you were being appointed, but everybody else who, when I was getting hired, said economic development is what we want. And that's what we're focused on. All those efficiency improvements are also good for business. Businesses hate when they are in their office and they have to come drive, they have to have a person drive all the way here to get a permit and drive all the way back and then do the work and then drive all the way here to file the permit and then drive all the way back. That costs money, and those businesses don't like to do businesses in communities like that. And so that's a way to improve business development. We also looking at updating the zoning ordinance, and we're looking forward to those conversations because there are problems with our zoning ordinance that, especially in the 2 business districts, that definitely need to be improved to encourage business. We updated our branding. We have a new logo coming out at the end of the month. We're all excited about it. It's going to be, if you go to the Fall Fest, you'll be able to pick up like some beer glass or some swag that you might want with the logo on it. So you'll be able to be the first one with the new Crafton logo. A new website will be coming very shortly, which will also incorporate all those online permitting, and it'll be a .gov site. And you'll also be able to register for your, if you want to rent a community room, or if you want to rent a pavilion, you no longer have to come in the office. You can do it you'll be able to do it right online. Obviously there'll be bugs with that stuff, but we're working that out. Blight mediation. That is a big thing that Mike is also working on. We have started a conservatorship process. The conservatorship is where you take over. So one of the things that we've been trying to avoid, and Tara, you mentioned it, or Tara, is it Tara? Tara, sorry, thank you. Tara mentioned it, and that is we have a lot of gaps, right? We don't have a ton of blight, we just have gaps. And you have to make it easier for people to build in those gaps, but we don't want to create any more. So we want to stop. They've been demoing houses in the past. That was what you did with blight, you demoed it. The problem with that is then it becomes, it's hard to build one house. If you've done, John, you did it, you knew how much it costs. It's very difficult because there's no economy of scale. So builders don't like to build one house, which is why when you see a house taken down in a vacant lot, it's very unlikely in this market for that to change because it's very expensive to build one house. And so we're, the conservatorship allows us to basically go into a tax delinquent house and fix it up and then sell it. And we get the profit, the borough does. And then, but the big key is we get a taxpayer in the door and you get someone who's paying income taxes as well, as opposed to a vacant lot where there's no taxes so that tax burden goes on to everybody else. So we want to decrease and make sure that we're decreasing the tax burden for people. That's why we're looking into conservatorship. Another thing that we're considering, which we'll have to wait till next year, is joining the land bank. You can only join it in October every year. We're not prepared to join it this year, but a land bank takes a small fee from the borough every year, but then the most dilapidated houses, it will buy them and fix them up for you. And then it puts them on the market and sells them. Again, protecting those houses from being demolished. We want to save what we already have. Similar to what we're trying to do with brick streets as well. Save what we already have. We're working on updating a rental inspection. We did take it off the We did take it off tonight because the fire chief wanted had some questions about it, and so he wanted to take a look at it. Chief Crown wanted to look at it, so we're meeting with him on Monday, the 23rd, to talk about that. And then after that, we're gonna be working on an inventory of all the other vacant buildings that are there and have a plan to attack them so that we can, get them back on the market so that you can have neighbors as opposed to vacant lots next to your house. But I just wanted to update everybody with what we're working on and what we're doing with things. So with that, I'm going to switch to the rest of the stuff in my manager's report.
Zoning.
Yep. So first thing, we have a zoning update. Which everybody is aware of, and I appreciate all the comments at the beginning. That we're currently, with all the comments that we received and the direction from the planning commission, we are revising those, and we'll put out that draft. The goal is to have that draft back out to the public. What did I say here? By the end of next, did I not put a time on here? Sorry, I didn't put a time. I think we're looking at the end of next week. It's a 130-page document, so there can be quite a bit of edits when you have edits. But anyway, so that's going to be out by the end of next week. We have office hours, and that's where people can come in and meet. And if you have any questions about your property or what's happening, you come in and meet with Mike and I. We can walk you through it, talk to you about what they are. If they are willing to be recorded, Greg, we will record them, and we will take down their statements on paper. There is a planning commission meeting on September 24th to discuss zoning plan revisions. We have not confirmed. We may be doing a presentation at that. But that's the planning commission's choice. So we're waiting to see if they're willing to let us do a presentation at that meeting. The community open house, we're also doing an open house on Thursday, October 3rd. And it really just came down to timing. We tried to do it as quickly as we could so that we could that's another opportunity to come in. There'll be maps laid out. There'll be use codes will be there. And you'll just be able to ask any questions and talk about what it is that is proposed changes and why. So that will be on Thursday, October 3rd from 4 to 7. And then if there's any further discussions or requests for open house or other meetings, we will absolutely look into that. We're not taking questions, but I'll let you this time if you have a brief question.
I do.
Yeah.
Do I have to go?
Yeah.
I'm a new homeowner in this area, and this meeting on the 19th, what time is it, or do we have to make an appointment?
Yeah.
We're wrapping up Mr. Modesto in this beautiful package, but I'm not seeing the beautiful package, so I have a lot of questions.
Sure.
Because I am in that zone, and I'm very concerned for my future, as well as the future of my business. So what time will this meeting be?
Those are scheduled, they're online. I think there was 1 or 2 scheduled times left. We can talk but we can do another one. That's fine. We're not eliminating. We just, we can either do it earlier that day. If you can be available at 1:40 that day, we'll do it at 1:40. Can you be able? Okay. Yep. All right. We're going to put that down for 1:40 p.m. All right. And that's all I have with the zoning update for those meetings. So we look forward to meeting with you at those. The next thing up is the waste RF collection RFP.
Yeah. So now is a fun topic on the waste collection. So can't wait for this one. So just a little bit of history on this. So we had a great contact. Waste Management is here. Is Valley here?
No, Joe was
here
not
today. He wasn't able to. So Waste Management, we had a 5-year contract with Waste Management and 5 option years. So that was in 2014. So it's been 10 years. We took the 5 years, and then we took every one of the other additional 5 years. And now 2024, that contract is over. So we had the option to renew, and it was great pricing, great service, all of those things. So now we went to RFP. We started this process late last year. So we went through with what is out there, doing even some great studies to see what are other communities doing relative to waste collection. And you can imagine waste collection has changed in 10 years, 2014 to now. Wages have gone up, the trucks where it's disposed of, what you recycle, all of that has changed for those 10 years. So we received 3 bids. And how you do it on the public side is you have to take the lowest bid for your options, regardless of who the company is. And we sent that out to the community. It was the sheet that had the blue and green. We had feedback at our last meeting, a lot of really great comments. We also had a box on this sheet that you could click online, and we got 48 comments, I believe, or 40 some comments there, and went through all of those. And you know, as president, I've gone through a lot of this information and the comments and listened to everybody. So tonight I want to go through just in a really practical way to say, like, we have to make a choice tonight. So we want to hear what you have to say, but I also want to show you what the options are, just in case they're confusing on the chart, or you didn't listen, or you didn't read anything, and that's okay. So what I also, yeah, that would be great to show. What I also heard was, we like how things are now. You know, we like how they're doing it now. The problem is nobody quotes what we have now. You know, that's not possible anymore. But we have 2 options. So what I want to do is show you what each option is. And we have 3 there, but we didn't hear any input on option 2 or any favorability on option 2. So we're just taking that off the table. So option 1 is with waste management. Option 3 is with Valley Waste. And if we look at where we are today and the differences, that's what I want to show you. Option 3, and I'll start with Valley Waste because there's the least differences from Valley Waste to where we are today. The first one being is the different multiple days of the week. And what that means is that your day of the week could be Tuesday, and Coletta's day of the week, or my day of the week could be Tuesday, Coletta could be Wednesday, Vince could be Thursday for collection. So I know that's big, and especially for Public Works, because they're going to have to pick up on different days, and we may have garbage, you know, drive around and you'll see garbage in different pockets and areas. So that's one. The other one is that the bags that you use and the trash cans you use and the recycle bins, you can use all of those. There will be a weight limit, but as the Valley gentleman said, he's not going to go around and weigh it, or bag limits of 5 at 40 pounds is 200 pounds. So if somebody has, unless you're throwing away a spouse, you're not going to have 200 pounds. I mean, think about that. That's where you do it. So it's a lot for 1 week. So that's what it is. The glass will be repurposed, and my understanding of that is right now, when we recycle glass, it dumps into the truck, and a lot of it does get broken. So Valley will repurpose it for their refuge and
They use it as landfill cover
for them. And we're also looking into potentially having a bin outside where we can bring glass or anything like that, if people prefer that. Right now, what does happen is a lot of it gets dumped because we're single system. So it does go up into the truck and dump down, and the glass breaks. That happens. That's the difference between now and Valley. Okay, that's the only differences that we've talked about. The price wise, it does go, you know, we're at $285 now. Valley would go to $329. And then up to the 5 years, $382. And then if we chose to go through the option years, it would go to $480. So we would see from $280, about a $200 increase over 10 years in the trash. So that's Valley. And we'll give everybody public comments after I do my little show and tell here. The next one is waste management. And this will be, Valley will be manual, just like it is today. This will be semi-automated. And what that means is that your trash can will be connected to a truck that will then put it into the trash thing. Now, with that also means that we will have bins. And the bins are these bins here. So I'm going to move around. It's not this one. It is these 2 bins here. So everybody will get one of these. Now, I don't know if you can all see them, but they're very big. So this lady is going to be covered by the bin. And this is the other bin. Okay, this is the recycle bin, this is the garbage bin. All of your trash has to be in here, and all your recycling has to be in here. What you have now will not be picked up. These will need to be put on the sidewalk so they can face, I can't move it, this way so that the little hook under here can get into the truck and go up. So everybody will get these, you will have to store them between collections. So that's part of what this is, but everybody will get one of these to use, and you will, recycling in here, you cannot put things outside of this bin, and it has to be inside these bins. Okay. So, what's that? Oh, I'm sorry. If anybody wants to come up, you can certainly come up and touch them. They're very awkward. No, and yeah, so we have to remember that you will have this in the snow, you're gonna have this in different.
You won't be on QVC.
QVC, I guess I'm not a good demonstrator, I'm sorry. Yeah. So that is, if you want another green bin, the big one, that's $117 a year. So that's, will be the cost for there. Glass will be recycled the same. Again, it will all need to be in the yellow container. The increase, so that's the differences between where we are now to where we are with waste management. The cost is a difference. So where the cost is, we will go from $285 to $344. And then it will go up incrementally after the 5 years to $446. And then option year 5 is $625. So that's a, 3 times or 2 times increase for that.
Oh, that's the 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah, 10 years,
Oh,
yeah. So it would go from where we are now at 285 to 625, sorry. So that's the 2 options that we need to consider.
John,
for
can you
that.
add, because this came up a lot last time
Oh,
too, you mentioned the price of buying a second bin, if you want a second bin, but the waste management price includes, we would all have to switch to those 2 bins, but the bins would be provided.
Yes.
Unless you want to upgrade to a second one of those bins,
Right.
at which case there would be a cost.
Right.
But the first bin, if we go that route, the bins are provided.
Yes, and if you have 1 bag, we'll give everybody a chance because we'll have public comment. We want to hear your comments. If you have 1 bag, that 1 bag has to go into the green bin. It will not be picked up. If you have 5 bags, 6 bags, leaves, it has to go into the bin and it has to be closed.
Another question that was brought up a lot was the large bin versus getting 2 smaller bins.
Yeah.
We did ask that. What was the answer to that?
So the 2 smaller bins, the borough has to determine based on where you live, if your area is good enough to, not good enough, but is difficult where you challenging, where you can get 2 of the small ones. So it would be us going around to determine where those bins would be. Like, do you live on a hill or whatever? As I've thought about this a lot too, and we do have a lot of elderly people, disabled people in the community, which I worry about with that. But I was even having some trouble there. So, and maybe I fit in the elderly category, but it's, I don't know. But that's something that we all need to consider as we
put your glasses.
make. I know. We all need to consider as we go through this decision. We need to make the decision today because the contract or the bids that we got do expire. And then we have to prepare for next year.
Another thing that came up that I think we did address was multi-units. So if somebody owns an apartment or something that has 4 units, some folks indicated that they wouldn't ever need 4 bins. Their tenants would never fill that much. And the question was, well, can somebody elect to have less? And the response we got was that they could have less bins, but they would still be paying for them for the number of units. Correct.
Right.
So if there's 4 units, they pay for 4 bins, even if you don't take them or use them.
And each one has a serial number, so they will track it to where your house is. So that serial number will link it to your house. So given that, what I wanted to do is have public comment. So again, you'll state your name, the street that you live on, give us your opinion. If you can keep it brief, there might be a lot of feedback, and then we'll also do it online too. And maybe if you want to say what your thoughts, or if you have any questions, we can even do it as a Q&A, because we want to make a good decision for that. Yeah, and we'll do people here, and then we'll do the Zoom folks too. So in Zoom, you can also raise your hand. But anybody here, yes, you were first. You can come up to the mic.
My question is are they still picking up on the alleys?
Yes, alley pick. Yeah, I think that's on this sheet too.
They're all alley pick.
Yeah.
And I'm opposed to these large bins. I mean, let's face it, I would fit in that one.
Okay. Well, yes, I can't see you. Can you come up, Kathy? I know, the reason is for the online folks, they can't hear if you don't come up.
That's what,
All I wanted to know was, are they still gonna be able to pick up, like you could call waste management now and they'll come and get to your house and pick up things you haven't used or electronic devices?
Yeah, that's,
Both contracts have that service. They're a little different, I forget what.
yeah, it's on the chart there. The hard to recycle.
Oh, that's what it is. The difference is, Waste Management does it on demand with no limit, right? No limit, right. And Valley does it once a quarter. So you have to, if you've done it already that quarter, you have to wait till the next quarter.
Justin. Now you can talk.
All right, Dustin Marks, 31 Oregon Avenue, attempt number 2 here. Can you leave that up, Mike?
Yes.
It's helpful.
Yeah, maybe just leave that.
I've enjoyed having Waste Management since I've lived here. I'm gonna miss glass recycling. I have large bins, but I could see the concern. I know before I said neither. I'm leaning heavy option 3 this time. I'd go as long as you get it. Honestly, the bins just don't make sense. I know that the first 2 bins are, I'm gonna call them free, they're included. And if the price is 117 a year, you could, kind of apply that to the sticker price we'd be paying for Waste Management to figure out how much they're charging us, even though you can go to Lowe's and buy a 96-gallon bin for like 130 or whatever, which seems kind of crazy. Totally against more subscriptions in my life. I would prefer to own my trash cans. I already do. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Thank you, Justin. Who else? Who else? Nobody? Yeah, Tara. Tara.
Okay, our box 17 something like, I would just encourage the borough to come up with a very clear and published definition of what oh my gosh, what makes someone eligible for the smaller cans? If you look at South Linwood by block, it's just a short rise, but I mean, I could fit my husband in that.
That was on my notes.
Oh, yeah, I mean, just our regular bins are sometimes a challenge, and I'm pretty strong, I'm strong. But I do have a lot of senior neighbors and I do worry about that, so we really need to have that defined well for the public. And then whether or not there would be some sort of an additional fee if somebody were to go with those 2 smaller bins. And would that be an option? Or are you only allowed if you're old, disabled, live on a hill, whatever? So those are things I think need to be really spelled out to the community, because I think you're gonna get a lot of pushback on that. I do recall seeing somewhere that visibility from the street is an issue with current zoning, so that's gotta be discussed. I don't have anywhere where I can.
Can you, I'm not sure
I
to me,
can't cite it, I know I've
just not,
somebody mentioned it to me before, so somewhere in the code, there's something about.
Oh, yes, they're not supposed to.
We don't-
Yeah, you can't have the.
okay, sorry, okay, I got you.
Yeah. And not in the driveway where they could be like tucked up in behind, so that's something that has to be considered. And then, again, with those larger ones, You know, I 100% appreciate the need to protect your place. I appreciate that. As Mr.
No, it's fine.
Whatever, sorry, Chair,
It's all good.
pointed out, we also have to make sure that we're taking care of our residents. 100%. Thank you.
Thank you. Right.
Carol Hannah, 24 Haldane Street. Really glad that my husband and I came today because that trash can is ridiculous. If my husband wasn't home, I wouldn't be able to move that around. We would have nowhere to put it. I can see like dozens of those all over everybody's streets. It would look horrendous. We actually have a cute little trash can recycle pergola where we tuck our nice little ones that we own into. We'd have to make it 3 times the size for those. So while I hear that maybe Valley isn't great, we don't know if they're not great yet or not, but that's ridiculous. And your comment about putting your spouse in the garbage, well, that's your answer right there. That's it. Thank you.
No, that was not my plan. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna make you a t-shirt. I know.
You know?
I don't have a spouse, so. Good.
I feel like
There we go.
I'm strong and I'm old.
Sure, sir, and then we'll do either one. Yeah, come.
Hi, here usually 84 South Glenwood. We have an alley behind our house. And it's a single car alley. And if me and my neighbor on South Grandview both had those placed in the alley, our car couldn't get through, let alone a garbage truck. I see those in neighborhoods that don't have sidewalks. They do not allow parking on the street. And I think that's great for them, but we're not that. So I vote for the ballot.
Thank you. Yes.
Hello, Reese Smith, 51st Street. You know, people already own the trash cans that they like, that work best for them. People have issues with their trash cans, but I also think about all the people that sort of have those like little wooden boxes that they put their trash cans in. They have, you know, especially like sorted to fit their particular trash can, and now we're gonna bring these in, and no one's trash cans are really gonna fit in those bins anymore that they've made to hide them away and make it all look nice and pretty. It's like not the biggest thing in the world, but it's a big hassle, especially for everyone, you know, that spent the time to put those things together to help make our community more beautiful. So I just don't wanna have to put everyone through that hassle, I would think.
Thank you, sir. Great.
Greg Wozniak, 1773 Bar Avenue. I'm probably leaning towards the Valley option. I think the big question about the Valley option is the level of service. Most of what I'm hearing is that there's a chance that it's not going to be that great of a service. So it would be nice. And I'm sure you guys, this might be a stupid question, I hope it is, but you do some serious due diligence on the contract to make sure that you have ways of making sure you go after them if their service is not good, you know what I mean, that they pay penalties, whatever, but you really have to hold your hands to good service. Because I think if the service is poor, unfortunately, it come back on you guys. So I think you need to really, if we go Valley, that you guys really, really have to make sure that they provide a good service. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, Greg. Yeah, so go ahead.
Yeah, the contract that the vendors sign is the borough's contract, and it does have protections for service.
And it would be an SOW. Right now, I know that we go around and pick up trash that hasn't been missed, that we get a lot of calls for things that were missed.
You want to explain an SOW?
Oh, statement of work. It's statement of work, it's part of the contract where they have to meet certain guidelines. But we do pay, and a lot of times Public Works has to pick it up. Sometimes we get other companies to have to pick it up and dispose of it. So that is what happens sometimes with Waste Management. I'm sure it will happen with Waste Management or Valley. We're still going to have those. It's just making sure that as part of our contract, as we look through it, we hold them accountable for that. Anyone else? Yes, sure, come on up. James after. Okay.
I know where it's.
Sandy Moore, 1781 Borough Avenue. Last meeting, I did say I just waste management based on the amount of pounds that you can put out compared to price. One of the things I do not like about waste management is giving them a 6.9% compounded increase.
Right.
When Valley's only at 3.8, that seems to be quite a big difference. But my other question on waste management is, you know, we do have elderly people that live in our neighborhood. We don't live on a hill. Luckily, we live on the flat. But if our elderly neighbor said, I only want one of those little bins,
They can do that.
they wouldn't have to be charged any extra. They could ask for one little bin.
Yes.
Then, okay.
That's automatic. The only thing that is not is if you ask for two. We anticipate most people, just because what we've seen in other communities and what we've asked, if you can't move that bigger bin, it's because you're the only person in your household. You know, you're a smaller or older person or can't manage it, in which case you're probably not throwing away that much stuff. So the smaller bin is typically useful in the places where it's the topography or that's the issue. And that is what's challenging. That's where Waste Management has said they would work with us on delineating areas that makes more sense. And I get, Tara, I get your issue that it'll be hard for us to determine that. We know that it's going to be a messy situation. We'll do the best we can. So if that's the way we go. So.
And the other thing is not that this has to do with the contract, but being that we're limited now to what our bulk, whether it's one item per week or 2 items per month. Could we consider having a second dumpster day, like one in the spring, one in the fall?
Yeah.
So I don't wanna hold my big junk of the
Yeah.
all year long, so.
We partner with DZ and Fontana on the drug
Yeah.
give back and medication give back. So absolutely. I mean,
And we do get, the reason we do it that day is we do get one dumpster for free, isn't it? Or Keep America, there's a program, the Keep America Beautiful. Don't we get some?
It's the Great American Cleanup,
Yeah.
and you get the roll up at a really reduced rate.
Okay, that's what it is. Yeah. So, but the roll-offs aren't that expensive. So doing another one is not unreasonable. Yeah.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you.
Yep.
Well, James.
Yes. Anything at 96 Stairs Street. I'll keep mine super short. I think in terms of consistency and cost, just people keep their own bins, and then keeping costs low. I found myself leaning towards 3 as well, so. That's about it.
Thank you, James. Okay, sure.
Eva Popper, 28 Alice Street. I was just thinking that I know we want to promote Crafton being a walkable neighborhood. I'm thinking on trash night with those on the sidewalks, if you're gonna lose the walkability on the traffic roads. So I was thinking towards option 3, skipping those bits as well.
Thank you. Anybody else before we go to Zoom? Okay. All right, let's go to Zoom. And we had we have 2 people who raised their hand. Nicole.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Hi. Nicole Curvin, 184 South Grandview. I'm going to have the unpopular opinion tonight. I don't think either option is great, obviously, and both come with drawbacks, but I do think the bigger drawbacks come with Valley Waste, and I'll say why. First, if you look at the reviews for this company, you will see people saying 75% of the time there's no trash pickup at all. They have very poor customer service. One person said they went for an entire month without any pickups and just calling and calling. That really concerns me. I think that's a much bigger drawback than worrying about the ergonomics of bins, and I'll say why. I know that people are hesitant to have a change in, the functionality of something they're working on and an increase in cost. But I've had bins of this size at my property because that's how much waste my family creates, unfortunately, for 8 years now. And I have a serious physical disability. I'm still able to roll those bins up a hill and get them without any problem to the sidewalk. And so is my father, who did that until he was 99 years old without a trouble. So just to say, as someone with a disability, I know everyone is different in terms of their limitations, but we haven't had issues with that. And in my particular area, walkability is not a concern, but what I will say is we have a lot of people who will put out more trash than simply their bins, and they have multiple pieces of trash and bins and all sorts of things out. And that's going to create an issue no matter what kind of bin you use. Also, I'll just say, as someone who's worked on worker safety initiatives, I'm pro any kind of change on behalf of weight management that allows their employees not to be injured. And I think the bins that is probably the primary purpose of what we heard last time about why they're changing to those bins. So it's more about worker safety and ergonomics. And I'll just also say that their customer service is excellent. They have been wonderful to deal with, and I've never seen them miss a pickup in 8 years. And I'm really interested in not changing that. And I think sometimes you just have to pay for better and more reliable service and consider the value of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicole, did you say your address?
Yeah.
Did you say? Yeah.
Yes, 184 South Grandview.
Okay, thank you. All right, Phyllis Barber. She's on mute.
Sorry. Hi, Phyllis Barber, 17 Belvedere Street. I did provide feedback through the online form, but I guess my overall concerns with this are if there's not flexibility, if Waste Management is the selected vendor and it's just selected based on topography, who gets a smaller bin, I think that provides a great risk to the residents. So I'm similar to what John's statements are, not only for elderly, but a 96-gallon bin is probably double the size that we use in my household. It probably comes up to my chest. There's so many stairs here now. I have a family member that hauls her trash can down probably 20 steps. So I think that's dangerous. So unless there's some flexibility on being able to request smaller bins on demand, and it's open for everybody, then I think Valley would have to be the choice, but with performance clauses in place and making sure that everybody stays on them about exceptional service. So service is unmatched and equal to what we've seen before. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Barber. Let's see, we have another one.
Yeah, Cody.
Cody. Oh. Cody Sheets. Cody, you're up.
All right. I think that I'm sitting here right now and I'm Googling reviews on both of these companies, and really, and neither one of them are good. I think that Valley is the no-brainer. The gentleman who came in and did his little kind of intro on what the service was going to be a couple weeks ago. He made it clear that, like, they weren't, even though it's borough code for stuff to be in your cans, he made it clear that, like, they weren't really concerned about that. Some people brought up concerns about there being a 5-bag limitation, and he assured us that like, hey, we're not going to be counting your bags, you know. And so one of my family members has Valley Waste Service in Kennedy, and you know, had nothing but good things to say. You know, I asked about this, and said that, like, even when it comes to their minimums, like, you know, one bulk item per month or something like that, that they really don't care. They're not too crazy about, like, enforcing that stuff as long as it's not unreasonable. So again, I think that Valley's the way to go. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Sheets. Do we have anybody else? All right. Anybody in our audience? Yeah. All right. So it comes to council now. For any discussion, tonight's options, we have option 1 and 3, which is Valley and Waste Management. We also have a decision about the time. number of years. And then the option years would double for that. So if we choose 3, then it doubles to there. I think we have to be wise about that because I don't think the prices will go down over the years. It's going to probably stay and increase, as we found out this year. So, and then also making it around the bidding sheet, everybody can see the motion here. So any discussion or thoughts or comments from council?
I have a question about the smaller bins. I know we gotten a response and we talked about it a bit here tonight and perhaps they can clarify. We had gotten a response that if people wanted to request the 2 smaller bins, we would be able to do that, but on a criteria that we'll have to work through that will be designed around whether the address can meet that criteria, whether they have a demonstrated need for it. But it sounded like what was mentioned tonight was also an option for people to just simply choose 1 smaller bin, and that would be an easier choice. You would still have to pay the same amount, but if you didn't think you needed the large space and wanted to just have 1 smaller bin, that would be an automatic approval.
That's correct.
And then they would also still get the 1 recycle bin, right, which is that size. So it's, yeah, it's not smaller. It would be that one. Yeah. Yeah, so it would be potentially a smaller green one, which we would have to educate people, which is sometimes hard to do because they would be delivered this one. And then the yellow, bigger one that's over there.
As I mentioned last week too, we do a lot of educational material, for the education on your end.
Yeah, and part of this is we've sent out mailings before through Waste Management and they've been very good. We need to make sure like we would communicate everything. And that's going to be an important thing as part of our contract is around the communication with whoever we go.
My other question, I know this came up a few times. We do have a contract that we would do with either selected company. What are the performance standards or metrics that we will be able to hold them to? I know, for example, that as much as Valley Waste was willing in verbally to be flexible with their limits, we would not be able to hold them accountable for anything beyond what is in the contract, which would be the 5-bag limit. So they can say whatever they want in a meeting, but we can't hold them to it. What are the performance standards that we would be able to ask either company to adhere to?
I don't have the contract in front of me, but if I remember correctly, similar to the last contract, there's the availability for a fine for any miss that's greater than 24 hours. So I think you have 24 hours to make a sweep. And if you miss it still, which we've had that situation with Waste Management, you can then ask for a fine. We have not done that, mainly because we knew we were going out to bid and we didn't want to start fining all the companies that we were going out to bid for. So, so that's why we haven't done it in the past. But I think especially with a new contract, after giving maybe 6 months to that then we would start enacting or start being more assertive with any tools that we have to keep in the law.
So I know that was this is a follow-up. That was one thing that came up a lot in the last meeting from our Public Works Department, who often are responsible, who do the effort of going and picking up trash that was not picked up on time.
And we've tracked those costs.
Do we know what those were? How many pickups they made or?
I don't have it in front of me, but it's a list. There's quite a few.
And it does seem like it is happening regularly.
Yeah, it happens a lot. We get a lot of missed pickups. I mean, most of the time Waste Management is able to get back, but there are times when they're not.
Okay.
In addition to fines, there are provisions to terminate the contract as well.
No, related to
But you have to do that in a thoughtful manner because you don't want to be left without
at least
a hauler.
One thing I don't know, and maybe I've missed it, and I don't know that it's been discussed, is recycle day still every other week with both of these?
Yes.
Okay.
So good, so I have a recycle question. Mentioning glass, are we still either company
put glass, mix it in the recycle bin, and even if glass breaks, they're just sorting behind the scenes, so.
If we go with Valley, I plan to look into doing a separate glass recycling facility. People could still put it in their, put it in their recycling if they want to. But if they're interested in ensuring that their glass is actually recycled, we could have a location where they could come drop off their glass.
Okay.
I'm not guaranteeing that,
Sure.
because that is an expense.
Mhm.
And it's something we're gonna look into. Also, we would look into with Valley, we would look into grants to buy the blue bins. Because recycling absolutely goes up when you provide those blue bins, and they're 35-gallon bins. They're not.
You mean goes up, meaning people take more advantage of it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they
Have
have
the
it.
bins, yeah, okay.
Yep.
You mean each house having a bin?
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it.
Yeah.
But that would be a grant. That would, it's
Gotcha.
something we have to
Okay.
figure out. Yep.
Any other questions? So what I'd like to do for this is probably a straw poll, meaning where we would each just vote on option 1 or 3. And then talk about number of years. So whichever gets the most votes, of course, then talk about the number of years we would want to have it, if that works for everybody.
Yes.
All right, so for Steve, do we we can't make a motion because we don't know who it is, but it would just be filling in the X to be either one.
One or the other.
Okay.
Valley or.
I think you do it on.
Oh, you want me to do a motion?
No, not a motion. You do it on the chart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've never done this.
No vote, yeah. So the straw poll goes, you
Okay.
can pick whatever order you want, and then you just ask each person.
Okay,
Which one?
Ms. Bowmacher,
No.
Mr. Manella,
Valley.
okay, Mr. Chandler,
Valley.
Ms. Compatello,
Valley.
okay. Mr. Hope,
Valley.
Mr. Oliverio,
I think I go last.
oh, okay, Ms. Pocahontas,
Valley.
okay. Mr. Oliverio,
Valley.
okay, so that's 7 for Valley.
Okay. So then, so we have Valley, then it's the number of years. So the options are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are the options, and then it doubles. So if you.
Right, and the options are mutual.
That means, what that means is a mutual option year, and this is one of the ways we were able to save a little bit of money, is in typical options, the person, us, for getting the service just decides to take the next option year. We didn't do that. We did a mutual option. And that means that that's one of the reasons they were able to provide lower prices, was they get to decide as well if they want to go. So if we get to the 5th year and they say, no, these prices are too bad, they're not good for us, they can say no. And then we'd have to go out to bid. We'd have to make that choice 9 months before the contract ends. So we'll have plenty of time to deal with it, but that's what mutual option is. Whoever we choose, Waste or, well, I guess it's Valley. Valley has to agree with that option.
So discussion or thoughts on the number of years?
Question, so say we do a 3-year contract. Option year 1 would be at that price.
Yeah, no,
So we
no,
don't.
it just goes, so if you do, yeah, that's a great question. So if you do Valley, this one, and you do 3 option years, this becomes the first
Okay.
option. And the prices remain the same.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But at that point in year 4, it becomes a mutual.
Yeah, if let's say you do a 4-year, and you have 1 option year, every option year after that is a mutual.
That's an option year. It's a mutual.
Yeah, you have until the 3rd month to decide, the 3rd month of that year, to decide if you want the next year.
I see 5 for sure. So every year. We would
Every
have
option year.
every option year.
So if we agree to 5 years, then we get those 5 years of payment done.
Right.
And then every option year is when we have to be a mutual agreement.
That's what, I think if we go out to bid again, and Mr. Price did an excellent job on this bid, because most boroughs, I think you've heard, whether it be in the news or elsewhere, have been starting at $600, $700, $800. Just.
That's a little exaggeration.
But that's where, that we've heard, we were worried that that's where, yeah, we were worried that that's where it was. So part of it is where we are now, think about where we are in 5 years. So that would be 2030. And what will prices, what will things, they could go down. But if that would be wages going down and everything else, yeah, I know.
Be optimistic.
It's about the CD.
We also just want to point out that we just did a 5-year with a 5 option year, and we really reaped the benefits of that many times over. I think there's something to be said for long-term commitments.
Great.
So for this one, I would suggest, pending any other further comments, to make the full motion for this and put the number of years in it. Does that work?
Yep.
Okay. Any other, or if anybody wants to make a motion?
And I have a question before we make a motion, and the performance terms in the contract, if there, we will have an ability if the level of service is consistently not meeting expectations, or we're having really frequent complaints, we will have the ability to go back and say,
Yes,
you're not meeting the
I've
terms.
terminated a caller in another borough in the last 5 years.
I mean, we'd like it to not come to that, but
Yes,
we would like to know what we're getting ourselves into.
I'll also tell you that competition is such that the haulers don't want the bad press, so it was an easy divorce, if you will.
Just a dumb question. If, big if, that would happen, do you have to start this process all over again?
Yes.
Okay,
But nice thing is we have the bid package
Yes.
already well prepared.
yes, right. Okay.
So if anybody wants to make a motion, then we would have discussion again, with the number of years in it, and then.
And I would suggest on the years that you say, the number of base years and then the same number of auction years, so like 5 base year and 5 auction years. If you were to do for the whole, as Mr. Hof alluded to.
I'll make a motion to select Valley Waste, the low bidder for manual collection, Crafton Borough, for 5 years with alley pickup and then 5-year option as well. For pickup and household hazardous waste collection, and no billing alternative at the rates detailed on bidding sheet.
On the bid.
On the
just
bid. On the bid sheet.
Okay. Mr. Hof made a motion and Mr. Rodilla second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. First, I want to thank council for a great discussion. But I also want to thank the public for your feedback. It's been really appreciated. Thank you very much. Okay.
On to the next thing on my agenda. The next thing I have here is the 2025 minimum municipal obligation. This is what we the funds that we have to put in our pension plans for our police officers and our public works employees. And for the office employees, they have pensions. We've received notice that our minimum municipal obligations for the police and non-uniform pension plans will need a deposit of $106,415 in the police pension fund and $106,938 in the non-uniform pension fund for the fiscal year 2025. So with that, can I get a motion to approve resolution 2024-10, adopting the 2024 minimum municipal obligation as required by Act 205 for the police pension fund and for the non-uniformed employee pension?
Ms. Wallenbacher,
Second.
Ms. Confitello, any questions or discussion?
This was the budgeted amount for this?
This is for next year. So you
Next
don't-
year.
This is for next year. So you get these numbers.
It will be budgeted.
We get this.
It will be. And it's in, these numbers are already.
All right, in this sheet.
Yeah.
Any further questions? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. This next motion is to approve, this is about the CDBG funds for Duncan Avenue sidewalk project. The community development block funds are funds that we're able to use for lots of different types of projects. From the county, we get these through the COG. These are sidewalk repairs that are in a low moderate area income area of the borough. They were damaged a few years ago. And this would be, there's no match to this. Last year, we forego these funds to let Collier take a project so that we can take this project this year. So with that, I'd like a motion to pass resolution. I don't know what's happening with the motion to pass resolution 2024-11, approving the application to the county CDBG funding for replacing the sidewalk on Duncan Avenue.
So moved.
Okay, Ms. Contello, Mr. Badilla, seconds. Questions or discussion?
I do have a question.
Yep.
We have been, we did talk about this last year.
Yep.
Forfeiting our COG funds to allow Collier to proceed because these are COG funds and we wanted to wait and take our turn this year for Duncan Avenue sidewalks. So this is not a new item. But in the meantime, we have been talking about the C20 sewer.
Good question.
Sewer improvements, which will impact Duncan Avenue. Can you clarify that these two we will not be
Yes. You want to answer
touching
that?
the same area?
Did you answer, or no, I guess it was Alberto who answered that. This project does not go, well, this project is on Duncan Avenue. These are the sidewalks. The solar project is going, the sewer line goes right down the middle of the road. So no impact on each other.
So it will impact some of the same blocks, but
It will be on the same block.
we
yes.
will be putting these sidewalks in and the sewer work will not be
Correct.
tearing that up or interfering with it.
Correct.
Just don't do it all on the same time, right?
Well, I mean,
Well,
yeah.
or maybe do it all at once.
You do it all.
Right.
I was just trying to, let's really blow up that street.
Yep.
Any further questions? All right, all in favor? Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Okay, a couple more things on my portion of the agenda. Next is the budget process schedule. We introduced the first council budget workshop tonight at 6:30. 5 year extended out, and it's balanced right now with no tax increase. I want to point that out. But the next ones are going to happen at 6 because we're now starting our meetings at 7. Last year we were doing it at 7:30. I mean 7:15. So we're going to start the rest of the budget workshops at 6 with the goal of passing a budget in November. And not having to need the other budget workshop in December. So that's coming up. So if you want to hear more about the budget and the planning for that, join us for the 6 p.m. meetings.
Well, we need a motion because this is,
Oh, that's
we have
right.
to change this.
Yes.
The meetings are then advertised for all these.
Yeah, so I need a motion to approve moving the budget workshop meetings to 6 p.m. and then we'll advertise accordingly.
So moved.
And then,
Wait,
the 28th meeting to the 26th.
26.
Yep.
6 will be 26.
Yep.
Sorry, Ms. Polkownik, did you make a motion?
Yeah.
Okay,
Second.
Ms. Contello, any discussion? I think for this one, in my eyes, is that this is so important looking at the budget, and today it was short.
Yeah.
And we can always end if we need to, but I think having these at 6 o'clock and then doing the advertisement is the right path to go for this. And there's a lot of work that goes into it. Any other discussion or questions? Right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Okay, next thing, we already had mentioned the logo launch, so that's, if you want to see what it is, we're.
Is it
come to the
secret? Yeah,
Fall
oh,
Fest.
no, okay, yeah.
Come to the Fall Fest. So you'll get to see it, it's the first time there. And also, just want to announce, a new website is coming out. We do have a Facebook page now, so we've been posting on the Facebook page. It's an official government Facebook page, so it's Crafton Borough, Allegheny County, Pennsylvania. So follow us, we'll be putting out announcements there as well. We'll try to make sure that all the savvy posts also go there so that that's cross pollinated. And with that, that's all I have.
Jim, do you have to clarify the comments section on the Facebook page thing that the comments are disabled?
Oh, yeah, we disable comments. We don't have the manpower to if you want to talk about our post, by all means, repost it on your page and.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, we'll move to our standing committees, Finance, Administration, Sustainability. Ms. Perry?
Okay, so we have been talking a lot about the budget and I looked at our, at this point, We have, August, budget to actual. And, what I'd like to do is just a quick highlight of that. As you mentioned, we'll meet next week and go into things in more detail so that, we make sure everything is shape before we have our next, our next budget meeting. But the highlights, the general plan, overall revenue is tracking on target. So August, so our number is 66%, or 66% for the year. And so we look at our budget, we look at where we are in our, budget to actual does show our percentages. So overall revenue is tracking, we're at 69% of budget, so actually a couple percent over. If we drill down, you'll see some things that are a little bit low, a little bit high, but overall, we're looking really good. And interestingly, overall expenses tracking pretty much on target as well. They're overall at 60%. Again, a few things, but nothing that we really need to worry about at this point. I believe that our administration is working hard, knowing where there are things that are going over budget, trying to find places to save budget so that we continue to track. So that's, and our expenses are running neck and neck with 2023 at this time, with higher revenue. So I'd say overall, things are looking good. So let's talk about the individual, expense, percentages in the, different departments. So administration at this point is at 49.5% of budget. So that's looking good. And I just want to reinforce, look down, there'll be some things that are higher than 66, but a number of things that are lower. Code enforcement at 62, with a note that there are, I think there's 3 things that you're double checking because they may seem a little off, but I don't think anything that's going to significantly change that percentage. Community activities is at 76.7. And the note there is that our banners expenses have been higher, but there is income to offset that. So nothing to be concerned about there. And then, as you probably are all familiar, fire protection and libraries are done on a monthly amount. So it's always balanced. It's right at, it's 66%. Municipal properties, which really, if you look at very carefully, are provisions for maintenance and things breaking down and a few other items. So it's running a little bit lower than anticipated at this point at 45.5. Parks are at 72, so a little bit over, but we've been doing a lot more activities and work with the parks. Police are at 61%, and even with what I did want to point out, because if you look at it, both our 2 overtime budgets are running high. Chief is aware of that. I think again, he's working places where a little more optional to keep things on target. Sanitation, which is garbage, is at 65, and the pool is at 99 because we're done with the pool. But let's talk a couple of things about the pool numbers. We've had our best revenue year ever. And we have reduced the previous 2 years for those subsidies significantly. So our 2024 expense to revenue, our expenses were 223,000 against 155,000, which equals about a $68,000 subsidy. And the previous 2 years, we were shy one way or the other of 100,000. So that's a really good thing. And actually, our 2024 revenue is 26,000 above what our budgeted prediction was. So we had a really good year. But the one thing that we need to remember, because it's, we all like to recite numbers, but it's really hard to put anything hard and fast around the pool because we have the unpredictability of weather. If we look at, last year we had the fires, we had a lot of weather issues last year, so we had more closures. And then the year before was really the first year after we had closed for COVID, and that was a little bit of a slow comeback. So, but it looks like we're tracking really well, and I have to say, they really killed it on the concessions. Yeah, we budgeted 21,000 in, for concession revenue, and they knocked it up to 28.5. But the really kind of cool things that are being really, I think, really efficient there is that, our budget for expense was 15,000, and they managed to bring it in at 13.3. So, somebody down there is really watching their P's and Q's and making sure that the buying is getting sold. Let's just put it that way. So that's really good. And I think those are the highlights. We talked about the other, the other funds, and I don't think we need to belabor that attendance tonight. So any questions about that, or as you look at things in more detail, where Jim is or where I am?
I will just say the pool concession stand had a pretty stellar sale in their last weekend. So that was a smart business move to get rid of their stuff.
Yeah, there you go.
And the pool, I want to thank the pool staff. They've done a phenomenal job. It is very hard. You have younger people working.
I do have one thing that I want to bring to everybody's attention. I have it down here at the bottom. So, not the general fund, but our CapEx. So as we've been talking about the pool, I do want to bring to your attention that, just that they will review. We did go over budget on that. We had our original budget was 600,000. Then earlier this year, we approved the 60,000 change order because of the long structure issues. So that put us at an expected cost of 660, and we actually expended 715.6. So that put us about 55.6 over, which is an 8.5% override. That money came right out of the bond fund. It did not adversely affect our general fund, nor will it. My understanding is some of the things had to do with maybe things earlier on when these budgets were put together, the thought that they were going to reduce the lockers, and that really wasn't practical. And Jim, I don't know if there were any.
It just came down to, there were a lot of little things that added up to a decent amount of money. Fans and just the stuff that you need to put into a building. And and since they were all capital expenses, we put them in bonds. And they were choices you had to make when the pool was opening in 3 weeks.
Yes, that's true. Because remember, you were telling me earlier today, they would have spent how much money to pay?
$16,000.
$16,000 to paint the fence. Because it looked bad.
And it was falling apart, and it kept it from rusting further, and
we've had a few more years of life.
Yeah.
Before we could mold or fencing.
Yeah.
So anyway, I mean.
A new fence would have cost 40,000, so.
All right.
Yes.
So just wanted to keep you guys appraised of that, and if you want to see and hear any more details, I'm sure that Jim would be happy to discuss them. All right, that's it.
So go back to, again, thanking the staff. Heather, from a leadership standpoint, has done a phenomenal job. She's been a pool manager for many, many years. We have a lot of young kids working there, as you know, and just their dedication to safety and to making that pool run on probably the busiest year we've ever had at the pool is very commendable. And also with the renovations, we just had the renovation of the whole bathhouse, and we had Larry managing the engineering portion down to the details, and then Public Works working to make sure that it was ready for opening day and doing a lot of the work themselves. So just all around, even though it's something where the income doesn't cover the expenses, it's something that makes Crafton great as we are. And just the leadership and the team in such a hard environment to work in, which is a pool, they've done a phenomenal job. So I just want to acknowledge them for that. All right, with that, we'll go to infrastructure and land use. Ms. Costello.
I just have a short update. fairly high level update. We have a grant for the Linwood and Noble Parks we got in 2022. We have a grant for $250,000. It comes with a 50% match. We have that budgeted, but we had always hoped to not have to pay it out of pocket. We unfortunately did not get another grant we pursued. So this will be something that council will be talking about through our upcoming budget process. We're also doing some exploration with DCNR, who issued the grant, to see what flexibility we have. And then pending what answers we get from DCNR, we may be discussing some changes to how we proceed and may be doing a community survey. So more to come, but that is the update now, is that will be in our budget discussions, and we're seeking some more information from DCNR.
Right, and I think, if I can just ask a question or clarification, we have until the end of 2026 to use the grant.
Right.
So we have some runway on making decisions, and as with most of our grants, we have no funds here for the grant itself until after we do the grant.
That's not true with every grant, but it is true with this one.
Right.
And most.
Okay.
And as we proceed with this one, I think, because as it was approved, council was hung twice for this approval. And the mayor did split the vote on the second time. So I think having a plan, refreshing everything that's come along since this time, to understand what this means, who would pay for it, everything, having council and then the public relook at this and give us feedback on this is important for these two parks. Initially, it was $250,000 grant with a $250,000 match from the borough, whether through the bond fund or any of our other funds. So I think it's important that we do an educational session for this again. And then also get this council's feedback and obviously the community's feedback. Anything else?
That's all fair.
All right, thank you. Planning Commission, Mr. Rodella.
Our next meeting is September 24th at 6:30 in this room, or via Zoom, right?
Yeah.
So in person or in Zoom, we'll be discussing the zoning ordinance in that meeting. That's it. Thank you.
All right, Community and Recreation, Ms. Bolenbacher.
Thank you. Of course, our next event coming up is Fall Fest. That's Saturday, October 28th from 1 to 6. As of right now, we do have 5 food vendors. We have Back Alley Brewing, and we have over 50 crafting vendors. So thanks to everybody. You can still sign up as a vendor if you like. Tomorrow is the last day though. So if anybody's interested, go to the website. For the events of the day, we're going to start with our puppy parade and costume contest. Prizes will be awarded for best in show, funniest costume, and most creative costume. It's $10 for your pup to register, and proceeds will go to the Cross Your Paws Pet Rescue. You can sign up on that day, but it's highly recommended to go to the website and sign up ahead of time. They will be on site, the Cross Your Paws Rescue, and they will also be bringing dogs that are available for adoption.
Oh.
We'd like to give a special thank you to L&M Mobile Groomer. They donated a gift basket as one of the giveaways or prizes for one of the pups, and I believe the rec board is going to make a couple baskets of their own as well. I think so. So after the pup parade, we'll have a dance performance by Elements Dance Troupe. I believe they're in the West End. They come from the West End here in Pittsburgh. And then we will have the music of the Corn Liquor Saints. Amongst some of the things you can do that day will be axe throwing, balloon artists, face painting, inflatable obstacle course, touch a truck, bubble house, kids crafts, spin art, lawn games, and more. Again, vendors can still sign up, and please, we need volunteers. Even if you can just give 60 minutes of your day, if you're planning on coming to the festival, 60 minutes would mean a great deal. So if anybody could give us a little bit of your time on that day, please go to the website and let us know. We would love to have you. Also, you will go there. You can go to the website to find out if you want to bring your pup for the day. It'll let you know what the rules and regulations are, because typically dogs are not allowed in the park. We have a 1-day lift of that ban, so there are some rules that people have to follow if you want to bring your dog. Jim mentioned the new logo. we will have a table, so please stop by and check out the new logo and see what kind of merchandise we have for that. Also, the rec board will have their own table with the 15205 merchandise. I don't know if you guys have seen those t-shirts and things. Rec board has been wearing them to previous events, so go check that out as well. After that, our next event is Haunted Crafton Tour with Trunk or Treat. The Trunk or Treat is the kickoff to the house tour. That's on October 19th from 6 to 8 in Crafton Park. The plan for that is to be any, residents who want to come and participate, you can go to the website, sign up, and you can come hand out candy to the kids who go around. We're also going to have a vendor pop up there as well. So vendors are going to come up in their trunks and, I always think of like fall off the truck kind of thing, but no, they're going to come sell their items as well as hand out candy to the kids. So once again, that's from 6 to 8 at Crafton Park on Saturday, October 19th. Please go to the website if you're interested. And then the tour itself will kick off on the 19th. We'll run through Halloween, October 31st, which I believe is a Thursday this year. After that, I forgot to mention during Fall Fest, the miniature golf course will be open throughout Fall Fest. And they will also be open for spooky mini golf beginning October 4th, running through October 26th, and that'll be every Friday and Saturday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. weather permitting, and it's $2 a rent. And I believe it's Fall Fest, I believe a nonprofit will be running it, so the money will go to them. Yeah. What else do I have for you? Upcoming holiday or upcoming events that I'll have more details as they come closer is Crafton Celebration of Lights, which is Saturday, December 7th at Crafton Park. And we do have the Holiday House Tour Sunday, December 15th. One thing I do want to mention about that, they are currently accepting applications for anybody who would like to have their house as part of the tour. And like everything else, if you are interested, please go to the Borough website for more information to sign up for that. And once more, please, volunteers, we could really use them, even just for a little bit of your day. Next up would be the newsletter. Emails have been out requesting articles, and articles are due on September 23rd. And that's it. That's all I have for.
Thank you, and to the rec board for organizing a lot of these activities too. Commission vacancy, Ms. Bukownik.
Thank you. Before I start, Erin, was there still a need for the houses for the haunted tour as well?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, you have until October 1st to sign up for that if you'd like to. And you don't need to have a scary story. If you just have really cool decorations that you'd like to show off, we can help you create a story. So, but if you have a scary story, we'd love to have you.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you. It's good transition for rec board. So the upcoming vacancies that we do currently have, we have 2 openings for our recreation board. Everything Erin just kind of walked through. Recreation board tackles, organizes plans, volunteers. So if you have that kind of capacity and you would love to be involved, you can go to the website, craftonborough.com/commissions and fill out a application for the recreation board. Those are the 2 we currently have available. And then we won't have any more pending, no changes, but zoning hearing board later on at the end of the year. So those are the 2 that we currently have as recreation board.
Great, thank you. Council of Government, Ms. Bolenbacher.
Summer break is over. The next meeting is next Thursday, the 19th at 6:30 in Kennedy Township.
Great.
If anybody would like to join.
Very good. All right, community announcements. Upcoming council meeting. The next one is September 26th, 7 p.m. and change this to 6 o'clock on the budget workshop. Fall Fest, already have gone through it with Ms. Bolenbacher, which is coming up. This is one of our biggest events of the year. So you will see a lot of people there and now dogs. So I encourage everybody, if you can, it will be a really nice event. Our Haunted Crafton driving tour, we already talked about that, and the Spooktacular mini golf. Halloween for Crafton will be on October 31st, and that will be from 6 to 8 p.m. We're going to have, of course, the volunteer fire department and the police available driving around to make sure it's safe. And as we all know, that's a big event here in Crafton too. Shade Tree. So the Shade Tree Commission is looking for homeowners who are interested in a shade tree for their front lawn. And this will be planted a few feet back in front of the sidewalk. And Crafton has been a member of Tree City USA for 35 years. And every year we plant the trees in early November. And there's a reason we plant them in early November is so that you don't have to water them and the trees go dormant. So you can plant them now. And what this means is we all might have our sidewalk, and then we have a tiny portion, the little green portion next to it. We can't plant trees in there anymore. And I think you've seen some of the effects of that. The trees don't survive. They get in the power lines, they tip over. So we can no longer plant trees there. But what we're offering is part of the Borough program is if you want a tree in your front yard, we will pay for that tree in addition to planting that tree through our Public Works Department for your front yard, but you will need to maintain it. So whether you water it, trim it, pick up the leaves, you would have to do that, but you would get a tree. And if you're interested in that, we have the website right there listed, and the Shade Tree Commission will do evaluation to make sure that the tree will be successful in your yard. And then, like we said, the planting will be done in November. Okay, so it's a great program. There is no cost to residents, and I encourage you, if you are interested, to do that. Shade Tree is also looking at our current tree population, and they're getting old, and we're looking at the ones that really need help and making sure that we take the right action for those. Any other items to announce? Anybody? Okay. At this time, I'm gonna put these on again. Citizens may address the Crafton Borough Council on any issue. Only residents and taxpayers of the Borough of Crafton will be permitted to address the council. Speakers will be permitted to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes. Groups of people will be required to designate a spokesperson to represent them before the council, who may speak for a maximum of 5 minutes. Council has the option to respond or not at the end of the address. The solicitor, again, is the assigned timekeeper, and please state your name and physical address for the record. We don't have anybody on the sign-up sheet, but yeah, you can come up, Greg.
Here I am again, Greg Wozniak, 1773 Bar Avenue. I have a question about the October 13th zoning presentation.
October 3rd.
Oh, October 3rd. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, zoning presentation. I assume it's gonna be something similar to what we did this past winter, where there's gonna be a presentation and things like that.
No, this is an open house. We're just gonna have information available, and they can come, whoever wants to come can come talk to us. We'll be hanging out there. Some council members will be there, if they're available, and to answer any questions that people might have. No presentation at that one.
No
Just an open house. Anybody who wants to come, you wanna come, talk to people, that's fine.
Right, I mean, is there gonna be, like you said, there will probably be posters and things like that?
Yeah, we're seeing what we're doing it ourselves, so we're seeing what we can produce, but yeah, we're working on that. I don't know exactly what that'll look like, but that's what we're working on.
Okay, so we're pretty far down the line on this, and so we've gone through a lot of public input and all that. And I just wanted to know whether or not the subject of ADUs, converted apartments, townhouses, and high rises. Is that behind us already? We've had tons of public input on that stuff, on those subjects. That it's been, the public is not interested in it. And so I was wondering if this October 3rd discussion, or is the open house, are these things gonna still be on a table? Or are we going to take them off the table based on what we've been going through for the last 9 months with public not interested in these subjects of ADUs, conversion apartments, townhouses, and high rises?
I can say ADUs have been removed by Planning Commission and by council. Conversion apartments were removed by, and I'm not sure that happened by motion, so I don't know if that's official, but the conversion apartments were mentioned by Rhiannon. But was there a vote to remove?
No, there was no vote, but I also mentioned it.
Okay, so then
Yeah.
they've been, then by Planning Commission, they've been removed. council decides whether they want to consider the other options. High rises have not been eliminated. They've been in the code for years. That hasn't changed. And what was the other one? What's the other one?
I'm not talking about changes, we're talking about going forward.
I know, but they haven't been removed. They haven't been talked about in planning commission or in council. We've gotten the comments back, but as far as I'm concerned, neither of them made the decision on that. And then the same is for townhouses. Townhouses have not been removed. And planning commission didn't remove them, neither did council. So that's on council and planning commission to decide.
I think where it stands now is it is back with the planning commission. So council reviewed everything, which was the last meeting. And we heard the public comment. It's now back with planning commission to take a look at all this stuff and go through it before council would ever get a new draft. And council will not get a new draft until it goes through planning commission. It is vetted. It is a good draft. And then council will take a review of it. Then it will go to Allegheny County for 45 days. And council does not approve it until it goes to Allegheny County. And then council reviews it again to make sure that it is good or that we agree with it. And then it could go to approval or we kick it back. So that's the process.
So then what I got from this discussion right now is that ADUs in conversion apartments are off the table.
The planning commission took conversion apartments off the table. I don't know that council feels the same way or will make that same decision. So that's up to council. That's not fine. Yeah.
I think what we agreed at the last meeting was, and everybody can speak, is that council turned this over to the planning commission after this meeting to say, we want a revised draft based on the public feedback that we heard. It is now back with planning commission to come with, based on everything on the feedback and what they heard from us, to come up with a revised draft plan of it. Is that what I'm correct in saying? Yeah.
Okay. Well, so then ADUs, conversion apartments, townhouses and high rises are not off the table. Pretty much. I mean, the needle is going that way. It seems the needle is going that way, but seems like there's a lot of wiggle words here that are kind of, or words here that are kind of like still.
I think council was really clear about our direction to the planning commission. So we were presented with a draft. We reviewed that draft and said there are issues and there's a lot of public comments. That was our discussion and that was it. No approval happened, no motions happened, and it went back to the planning commission now to do more due diligence and work in addition to all the other things that we talked about here. So that's where it stands. So I would encourage folks to still continue to express their opinions in the open house and the public forums. In attending the planning commission meeting, it looked like those things were absolutely off. But where council comes in is when we get the draft back. And if it doesn't have those things in there, then they're not in there. And we can't approve anything there. And again, the final approval comes after the Allegheny County thing.
All right, well, thank you very much for the explanation.
Hopefully that's clear. Thanks, Greg.
Quick question. Say planning commission, we all four of those things off out of the draft. You're saying council cannot react, correct?
That's legally not correct.
Yeah, council could put them back in. Because planning commission is only a recommending.
Okay, thanks for the clarification.
And I would strongly recommend that council look at the planning commission recommendation because there's been a lot of work done from that side and the public feedback that we've heard whenever it comes. But again, it's down the road. It is far down the road.
I agree. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Oh, sure.
Sandy Moore, 1781 Borough Avenue. I want to thank you for having that zoning meeting on the 3rd. I saw the post on Facebook. I've not seen, and I couldn't find anything that came from Savvy Citizen. Why would that be?
For what?
Which one was it?
This October 3rd, there's absolutely nothing.
We haven't put it out yet, just an oversight, we'll put it out.
I mean, we got like. Never mind.
Well, Mike was the one managing that, and he put out that post, he probably just didn't know that he had to put it out on Savvy too, we'll put it on Savvy, that's not a problem. We are not trying to hide anything.
No, I mean, I just get,
We are-
in the last 10 days, I've got 5 notifications about meditation. But
That's right.
this is like super important, and
Yeah.
it's not being told to the rest of the community if you're not on the Facebook posts.
Yeah, we'll put it out,
Okay.
So we've put out the one-on-ones and then the October 3rd event are out there and then the announcement for.
Well, the October, what she's saying, that
That's
the
what we-
October 3rd event was not on Saturday.
Okay, so we
Yeah.
definitely need to get both of those out.
Yep.
And then, of course, when the planning commission meeting is, we need to advertise that too out on there. Okay.
I also saw a news story, and unfortunately I can't get Wi-Fi in here, so I don't have the exact name of it. But it was a Pennsylvania grant having to do with small communities in their business districts. Is anybody looking into that?
We have just applied to, we didn't, that particular one, I don't know. We applied for $3 million for our central business district to redo all that work, all the infrastructure here and wayfinding and whatnot. We're absolutely looking into, so if you have it, I mean, we see grants all coming through all the time, and we have been going after a lot of grants, and you can see all the other work we're doing. We're not chasing every single one, obviously, but we are looking for ones. And, you know, we've been focused in my first year and a half here on the efficiency gains in the office. And now we're starting to move into some of that additional work.
It's also possible, since you mentioned seeing news releases, that you may have seen the Main Street Matters program from the government. That just came out, and we will definitely be looking at that. It's a very lengthy program, but yeah, that just came out.
Find that, well, I guess that I don't have any connection, I couldn't find the name of it.
Is that the
It's
one?
the Main Street Matters.
That's the one,
Yeah.
yeah.
That was it.
Mhm.
I mean, they were making a big deal about helping small communities revitalize their business district with new facades and stuff like that. So that's what I wanted to see if we were doing anything with that.
And it's not, I mean, I don't know if you've read into it yet. It's a whole program. So I think it's more than one grant. We'll have to do some research to really understand everything in it and what. we
Yeah,
can
Mike
apply
has
for.
it in as, it's on the list.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Just one other quick question, when we were talking about conservator. I'm sorry, I can't say that word.
Conservatorship.
That's it. Is that what you're doing with that? There's a house on Belvedere?
Yep.
Just curious, is there like, I mean, I know we're kind of not in the business of being general contractors.
Mhm.
Like, did anybody think, or I don't even know if it's possible to like work with like Habitat for Humanity or something like that?
That's a great idea, and we have not looked
Like,
into that.
those people have to put a lot of effort into their house. So, I mean, I would love to have one of those
Yep.
people as my neighbor,
I used to volunteer for them. I will absolutely ask them.
so.
That's
Okay,
great.
thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Did you-
I was.
You have to come up and say who you are. Don't say that.
Karen Wondak, 50 Park Street.
But
Karen Wondak.
Karen, okay.
50 Park Street. I just wanted to ask if council has applied for the new Main Street, matter program, and if they're going to, that was my question.
That's the program she's just talking about.
Yeah.
We have not applied yet, but we are looking into it. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else? Oh, go ahead. Yeah, then we'll go to Zoom too.
Ben Belmont at 370 West Streeton, would like to mention that election day is coming up. And if you are trying to submit ballot by mail, there are some deadlines that you need to be aware of. And
You want to name them? Do you know?
I do not know.
Okay. Sorry.
Not have service either.
Okay.
I might mention that you can get the library's open Wi-Fi here. So if you're looking for Wi-Fi and you have the library one, there's, and then there's no, you just have to go with your name, that's it.
Yeah.
There's important races other than the presidency that
Right.
are important to us.
For sure. We have our state rep race and the state rep and federal. Congressional rep, yeah.
uh, State Attorney General, State Treasurer, State Auditor General, and the treasurer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And we'll put it in the community announcements. We usually do it a little bit as we get closer, but it'll be in there too, especially checking your location. Okay, anybody else here? And online, Mr. Sheets?
All right, want to kind of give some recognition to the rec board for just kind of really pushing this thing into a different direction. I know a couple of years ago this was really kind of a mess to get back together or figure out to do on how to do more things over the year. And I think that the rec board's just done a really great job. Also, applause for efforts by council or Jim or Mike to get the social media accounts rolling. I think that's going to be pivotal here moving forward. I'd like to know why there are no planning commission meeting minutes that have been posted since May. That's a little concerning to me. Jim said that there's no plans to build any kind of affordable housing. But Jim said in a planning steering or in a zoning steering committee meeting that he would like to see Sarah and Amorado's 500 units in 500 days happen here in Crafton. And he said that he would like to see the population of Crafton go up to 20,000 before he leaves here. You guys were talking about conservatorships. You have no definitions for density in anything in your plan. Yet we keep talking about density, and this goes hand in hand with a federal initiative to try to create density in suburban areas and get people to rezone to, allegedly fix the broken housing market. And like you're talking, like the CDBG funds can be used in such a broad way. And like, why aren't you guys soliciting to residents that they can apply for those funds to fix their houses, the people that already live here? How have you had this resolution for a year and a half and, for a little over a year, and you've never said that to anybody? I don't understand like how that works when we're trying to allegedly help people that already live here. Jim says there's nothing to hide, but where's Mike? We wouldn't know because Mike doesn't show up to anything now. Mike doesn't respond to anything. Mike is just very, very much kind of running the show behind the scenes without anybody overseeing it except allegedly Jim. And the fact that you guys are cool with this guy coming into here when you can't even get information off of his last employer because he had them all sign NDAs disgusts me. I think it's gross. I really do. And I think that it's really, really reckless to have a guy like this who clearly tried to take advantage of people in his last community working for this community. It's despicable. It's reprehensible that you have hired him here.
So, Tony, are you still there?
It's 3 minutes.
Yep.
Okay, because we can address, you had a lot of items there, so we're able to address, if we want, as council, any of those items. And Jim, do you want to address any? I'm looking at some, especially the planning commission minutes. And
the planning commission minutes for the last meeting was a mistake on my part when the meeting started. We switched from a webinar to a meeting for this, and I never hit record, so we didn't record it last week. And the other meetings, we had several meetings canceled, but we do have the minutes for those other meetings. They just must not have been posted, so we'll make sure that they get posted.
And we have minutes for the last meeting.
Yeah, we're working on it right now.
Okay,
Yeah.
because let's make sure that that's an action.
Well, we don't usually post those until they're approved at the next meeting.
next month. just
Okay,
at council
right.
meetings.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, but if there's ones from May meetings that aren't out there.
Well, there were a lot of meetings that were canceled.
Okay.
So there were several meetings in a row that were canceled, and then there were two meetings. There might be one meeting that's not up. I'll make sure that it gets up. I have to look at the details.
So let's make sure that the minutes get up.
Yep.
And that they get approved at the next planning commission for the last meeting. So that's a couple weeks to have those. those done. Mr. Sheets brought up affordable housing and the population to 20,000 conservative.
I will first say. I will
Well,
first
have
say,
you say that,
I
please.
have no idea where the 20,000 number came from.
I do.
Where?
From your zoning steering committee.
I said that in a zoning steering committee?
That's correct.
I've never, James and Greg.
Said
did
that
I-
you'd like to be a part of 500 homes built in 500 days with Sarah and Emerada. Quote.
Never said
I
that.
don't recall hearing that, and Cody
And how
was
would you
not
know?
on
How
the
would you know?
zoning steering
Wait.
committee.
Please.
Oh, I know you are. I bet you the two other people would disagree with you that are also on that committee.
There were more than two other people.
There were like 9 other people in that committee, but.
Yeah, right. But there's certainly two that are saying that you did say this. So, you know.
I think, I don't think there's, I'll speak for myself, but potentially also counsel that we want to get to 20,000 people in the community, and that, I've never heard that, so I don't think that's the direction that council would be moving.
No, I think that's just what Jim said.
So then, so let me go over the items. I wrote them down. The conservatorship, whatever Sandy said. I can't say, Cody can say it. Density, the CDBG funds, and solicit why we haven't talked about publicizing that for residents, and then Mike Tedesco.
For the CDBG funds, I wasn't aware that that individual property owners could use it, and if that's the case, we will look into it and get it advertised.
Are you kidding? How do you not know what the funds can be used for if you're applying for them? You kidding me?
Those are the ones we talked about tonight that we got through the COG.
Right, but there's a lot. Funds are
Sidewalks.
available there.
But did you tell people that they could that they can get their leaky roof fixed or their foundation fixed? Because the regional director of HUD told me that those funds can be used for that.
Cody, hold on 1 sec, because it's hard to hear, Cody, and I'm sure you're having some issues too. But we'll let Ms. Compitello talk, and then.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Oh, we can certainly look into other ways that we can use those funds. And I would like to hear if you knew anything further about this, but as far as we knew, when we participate in that as a regular part of the COG goes after those funds, and each member of municipality of the COG can use small amounts of it. So we're not talking about massive amounts. Do you recall what our amount was?
54,000.
54,000 is our allocation, and we don't have it each year. So if we could look into whether we can access more on our own outside of the COG to make available to residents. But that program that we have.
100% you can. 100% you can.
So let's take that as an action item. And I have it written in my notes here too. I just want to make sure, because you had mentioned the thing about a year ago. So I think.
Yeah, the resolution, correct.
From a year ago versus this might be something different.
It's not, this is like the resolution I'm talking about was to accept the CDBG funds for the following 3 years, 2024, 25, and 26. That you would be able to extract these funds in those years.
Okay, good. Yeah, and I have it from the notes that this was back in August of last year. So let's just look at this and see what we did, and we can talk about it for the next meeting. Okay. Any other items from Mr. Sheets's comments? Yeah. Okay.
Nothing we get.
Go ahead, Cody.
Sorry, I said, are we just like totally going to ignore everything about Mike, even things that people are allowed to know? We're just going to totally ignore Mike 100%. Not going to say anything about it.
Yeah, I think so. I can speak just a little bit about Mike. Mike was hired in April of this year through a process that we went through, and his job is around community and economic development. Things around his past are those were considered as he went into the job, but his goals and duties are relative to what he does today with and I think we look at everybody that takes a job, when you change a job, it doesn't mean what you did at your prior job you're going to do necessarily at this job because they're not the same. So I just recently changed my job, and the goals I had at my prior job don't apply to my current job. And we're all given goals and objectives. So I think we evaluate performance of current employees, which is extremely important. And we base it on there, and we make personnel decisions around that versus what maybe somebody has either done or had goals with a prior employer in the past.
And I'll make, when we did hire him, I did find out about those stories, and they turned out to be, when I looked into them, mostly just stories placing blame on him.
Oh my Lord, that is so naive though, because it's not. There's multiple state reps or state senators on both sides who came out and applauded his resignation. And when I call a state rep that doesn't even represent my county at all, and then they tell me you got to get this guy out of your town, that's an issue. You know, you guys are so naive. It is crazy that you are trying to tell me. That's like saying like, hey, I'll let somebody come in my house and rob me, and then like the next day, maybe they won't. It's crazy.
Cody, I want to be respectful for you, Cody. It is over the time, so we'll take. Okay, and then again, how the process works is, you know, we can respond as needed. So I think.
No, I do have one more thing to say, because
Okay.
I want to make it a point, you know, because when I was provided a list of references, I called those references, but then I also called all the other people. I called I called the manager of Johnstown, and I called his secretary, and I called several.
Did you call the state reps?
Did
you call the state?
And I checked with people who worked with him, and they all gave him glowing reviews. And so I didn't check on people that he gave references to. I also checked other people, and everybody gave him glowing reviews. So yes, then I chose to hire him. And he's done a fantastic job.
So our process, and like I said, our process for our 3 positions, this includes Larry, Jim, and Mike, has been through a very extensive interview process.
And include Public Works too.
Yes, we had our 2 Public Works. They were advertised, so all the positions were advertised and to the public, to everybody. People applied, and at times those names were taken off. So there was no type of discrimination that could happen on the applications or the resumes that were received. Then interviews occurred, whether it be with staff that are employed and or council. And in some cases, even for Jim's employment, we hired, similar to the police chief search, we hired an outside agency to go through that process. So it has been a very fair process and a very detailed one. This includes everything from even DJ, as we've gone farther back to the code enforcement. And I'm really proud of how council has taken it very seriously and spent time to go through that. And that's what we do. If somebody is not performing, we also take that very seriously, and we will action that to make sure that they are removed from their position and or put on a discipline plan. But I do human resources for a living, so I make sure these things occur here in the borough. And I am proud of our staff and the dedication, because they do spend a lot of hours. And I have never seen a group of people, Public Works to our staff that works here in the office, they're working much more hours than a lot of people. And they're here day and night, and coming in early in the morning for Public Works to other folks that, you know, just are spending, and they hear a lot of bad things, you know, complaints all day. And it's tough, but they do a very good job. And again, like I said, you know, and tonight we're all here for the betterment of Crafton. And that's why everybody's here tonight, including council, staff, and our volunteers. So that makes me very proud to live here. All right. Any additional comments? Okay. With that, it is 9:34. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.